Good morning, Internet. Welcome to the final whistle here on Relaks Radio, where we discuss all things football. Once again, I'm joined by Murat and Kings. Boys, how we doing?
Go on, Ed.
Boys, how we doing?
I was waiting for you, Kings. No, I'm good. Thank you.
It's gloomy outside, but I'm still in high spirits. So yeah,
Mate, I'm actually happy. It's like it's been really hot the last couple of days. I feel like I'm in melting, so it's nice to actually.
I think it's nice to have a little break from the heat, man.
Yeah, trust. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about this week. Right, there's not much football's been played, but in terms of like the transfer window, I think things have been rather busy. The transfer mill is running riot over football at the minute. There have been some deals that have been confirmed. Obviously, Arsenal have got Tavares, who made his debut against was it Rangers?
Yeah,
he made his debut against Rangers and actually scored on his debut as well. Spurs have just confirmed the signing on a loan deal of Atalanta goalkeeper Pierluigi Gallini on a 1-year deal with a 15 million buy option, which becomes an obligation after 15 appearances. But again, that is not the only thing happening in football at the minute. There's loads of other stuff happening. Obviously, let's touch on the two big contract the two big contract renewals that have already been announced. Obviously, Emile Smith-Rowe has signed a new deal at Arsenal, which is a big deal for Arsenal.
Also got a new number.
Also got a new number, and Spurs have also Spurs have got the signature of Heung-min Son for another 5 years, which basically would mean that he would see his retirement at Spurs, providing that someone doesn't come forward and buy him between now and then. So, I mean, Murat, Kings, Arsenal fans, Emile Smith-Rowe, what's your take on that?
Kings, I'll let you go first, bro.
All right, cool. Based off of what I've seen of Emile Smith-Rowe, and I haven't seen much, but based off of what I've seen, the kids' class, he's very composed on the ball. He's basically showing signs of really becoming a very good player as he gets older. Like the amount of potential growth he has in terms of being able to reach his ceiling, I feel like his ceiling's really high. So I feel like with this new signing, it's how do I put this? With Arsenal, with all of our young players, they play with such confidence. You've seen it in Gabriel Martinelli. You've seen it in Bukayo Saka. They play with such confidence and composure. They're capable of being able to run the show as young players. I see the same thing in Emile Smith-Rowe. I feel like he's definitely gonna be able to perform quite well for us, and be able to set the tone in the midfield, given other transfer news for Arsenal. I feel as though he's really going to be able to help piece things together. And I've seen that the chemistry he has with obviously the youngsters, but also the rest of the team. So I feel like it could be a very special season that we're going to be seeing coming up. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, Murat, where do you stand on it, mate?
For me, I was discussing this with a few friends yesterday. For me, he's probably one of the more important deals, one of the more important deals that we're going to make in this window. Obviously, we're bringing in a lot of players, but for me to keep players like that at the club, players that have come in from the youth system and they've grown into the players that they are today, and he's had a fantastic few seasons with us, and you can tell after every season is maturing even more, and what he brings to the team is very different from other players. And I'm really excited to see how he gets on. Obviously, he's got the number 10 shirt now, so obviously
previously worn by Mesut Ozil.
Yeah, there's a few names we can go through, like Bergkamp, Merson, like you said, Mesut. Obviously, last year I believe Odegaard had it. I said Dennis Bergkamp, didn't I? And then don't forget Jack Wilshere had number 10 as well for a little bit. So yeah, look, I know he's going to thrive under it, and I think after watching the interview he had after signing the deal, he was really excited. Obviously, he was saying that Arsenal's his home and he wants to be here for a long time, and he even said he wants to become an Arsenal legend. But as a fan, for me, that's exciting because I know that he's committed his future. Obviously, it's a 5-year deal, so I'm really, really excited to see how he gets on this season. But I think more importantly, previously, especially with us, we've struggled with getting deals over the line. We've had to let important players go out on a free, And for me, signing Bukayo, giving Bukayo the contract he got last year, and then securing Smith Emil's contract this season is massive, because we've let go of like the players like Alexis Sanchez on the free. We've let like Aaron Ramsey go on the free, and I think it's really important that we get that sort of like contract deals sorted as soon as we can, so we don't lose these players on a free, you know. So, and like I said, for him to commit to the club for so long after links of him leaving, and then basically say, look, this is my sort of commitment to the club. This is where I want to be. And I'm absolutely buzzing, not only from a fan's perspective, but for him as well. He's an amazing kid. He's got his head screwed on. He knows what he's doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on this season.
Yeah, obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe has been at the club since he was 10 years old, coming up for their youth system. Made his first team debut in 2018, spent 2019 on loan at RP Leipzig, and spent the first half of last year on loan at Huddersfield Town. And now he's just on a new 5-year deal. Obviously, he was crucial to your season last year. Very unlucky to score an absolute banger against us. But I think he took a whack at about 40 yards out, and he hit the post or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
crazy.
The kid's got talent. The kid has got massive talent, and obviously, with him being a fan as well, I think it really helps. Obviously, when we hear players about of this caliber, like, the first question that's normally asked is, but is he going to stay at Arsenal for his whole career? And I mean, considering that he's an Arsenal fan, he's come up through the system. He's just on a new 5-year deal. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon, if not at all, really.
Yeah. You live and die in Arsenal.
Yeah, attacking midfielder. Yeah, exactly. Attacking midfielder in 22 appearances for Arsenal. He scored 2 goals, and one of those actually being against Spurs. I mean, that's a big deal, scoring against the rivals for your boyhood club.
Yes, it is indeed. It's definitely something to brag about. Like, take it home and everything, you know, take that home and say, "Oh my gosh, like I scored against Spurs." You know, I feel as though it's like one thing I'd like to even point out, especially whenever it comes to playing for your boyhood club. I remember seeing a tweet, and they say that they said there's like there's more, not pride, but there's more. It's more of an achievement for you to be able to play and wear the shirt of your boyhood club, your fan, like the club that you are a fan of, a huge supporter of, rather than going to take a huge £1 million change in a different team. And the reason why I say this is because there was also the same thing that happened with Jack Grealish, and a lot of people were anticipating, yes, he's going to go to City. Yes, he's going to go to City. I'm not too sure what the status is on that deal right now.
We can discuss that in a little bit.
Okay, yeah. But basically, as I was saying, it's like they say how much he loves his club. Like, he generally loves Aston Villa. He like, you wouldn't see him anywhere else. Like, he will live and die in that shirt. And that's why people say, that's why looking at him, like, I can put that comparison to Emil Smith-Rowe. He generally loves the team. Like, literally straight up loves the team. And, you know, as far as anything is concerned, the way it looks, he's not going to be disappearing anytime soon. Like, he will live and die truly a gunner. So
there we go. And also I just
want to touch on that boyhood club subject. Obviously, when it comes to like derbies and stuff, obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, and your big games that we as fans look forward to. I think when you grow up in a club and you come through the youth system and you go up to the first team, you know what it means, you know? I think that's a very important factor in football these days, where people have to know what it means, especially when it comes to like rival games. I think they need to understand what it means to the fans, and for them to get an understanding of what the game is about and the rivalry between the two teams. And obviously Emil knows everything about that. So yeah, it's fantastic news for us Arsenal fans, and I'm sure, like I said, a lot of other people are excited to see him, how he gets on this season.
Yeah,
obviously the other big contract renewal that we've seen announced by Sky Sports News is Heung-min Son has signed a 5-year contract extension at Spurs. Has been with Spurs since 2015. Currently 29 years old, and with the new 5-year deal would see that he'd play out until he's 34, which for an attacker, that's kind of like retirement age. So
yeah,
I think in terms of business for us, I think that's a good bit of business. Son has been a key influential part of our team ever since he started getting consistent first team football. The Harry Kane Heung-min-Son partnership has been nothing but detrimental to our performances as a team, especially under Jose Mourinho. But let's not talk too much about that, because obviously that was a shocker coming towards the end of the season. But that partnership, I think together, Son and Harry Kane actually broke a record as the most assists to each other, or something stupid like that. So I mean, that's a good bit of business. Obviously, from an Arsenal fan's perspective, Heung-min-Son on a 5-year extension, is that good? Is that good business for Spurs?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's for me, after Harry Kane, he's probably your best player. So for you lot to get that over the line, I think it's massively important. Obviously, like you touched on the assists and the goals that he's been providing for not only for himself but for the likes of Harry Kane, and I'm sure he's obviously linked up with all the other attackers you guys have in your team. So yeah, for me, that is obviously great business from you lot. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be like probably on par with Harry Kane on what he's earning. Obviously, I know previously Spurs have had a very small wage structure, and I know how Daniel Levy's he's always liked to have a low wage structure, but obviously the more and more you guys are improving, and the more obviously building a stadium and it's going to attract different fans and stuff, the more he's had to sort of work with the money and stuff, and obviously he's had to start paying the players more, which I think even the likes of Harry Kane and Son, I think the money that they're on, they fully deserve it. Obviously, like you said, he's been there for a number of years now, so I think he's definitely deserved the contract. And yeah, like you said, obviously I didn't know he was 29. I thought he was a bit younger than that, but yeah, potentially he will probably see his contract out there. And you never know in football, really, because he might leave next season if he has another good season. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, go on. Right, what about you? But Keith, what about you, bro?
So far with the way it looks, I think, like, looking at Heung-min-Son, I don't think I've ever seen him decline as with the amount of time that he's been with Spurs. Like, I've just seen him constantly get better and better and better. Like, you'll have one good season, then continue to have an even better season than the last, and just try to either match that or do more. It is good business in terms of like Spurs, because it's like, this is a player you generally need. Like, you need to have someone like Heung-min-Son in your squad. Because you take Heung-min-Son out, then that's a problem. Now you need to find an attacker that can at least do the exact same, well, maybe not the exact same thing, but at least match what he was bringing to Spurs. Because he was, how do I put it? He was like, he is like your, I'd say he's like your winning ticket. If you get what I mean.
He's our win condition, yeah.
Yes. He's basically the winning condition. Like, he can basically change the whole tide of a game. He'll be able to change the whole tide of a game for you guys, and most likely in your favor, as he's like one of the main play. Like, he is literally the main player to be able to go to. Like, you could be able to rely on him. He's not, for a player that's capable of using both of his feet exactly as each other. Like, that's just generally incredible. Now, my thing is just the fact that, with a player like Heung-min-Son, with someone at his caliber, eventually, I don't know, eventually he'll get to a point where he wants to win trophies, he wants to win championships, whatever.
Yeah. And
I can't say I'm 100% about this, because I've seen how he is. He carries himself. He's a humble guy. But my question now is, what do you think, what happens when he now requires trophies? Like, how will Spurs be able to hang on to him?
The thing is, he's only ever really got success at an international level. That he's not won any trophies in his career at a club level, only international level. So the fact that he doesn't have that taste for winning yet might work in our favour. Okay. Obviously, we haven't won a trophy since 2018. 2008. Sorry, and that was the Carling Cup final when we beat Chelsea 2-1. We haven't won anything since then. Son has never won anything in his career apart from the Asia Cup with South Korea.
Yeah,
but that is literally all he's had.
So he's literally just a class player, pretty much. He's a
world-class player that I think hasn't really been put into a team that's going to really win trophies.
Yeah,
obviously, the way that Spurs are working this season, with some of the names that they're bringing in and some of the talent that they're bringing in.
Yeah,
there's nothing stopping us. I mean, but then again, there's nothing stopping anyone doing it. There's nothing stopping Arsenal doing it. There's nothing stopping Leicester City doing it again. There's nothing stopping anyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you can get the right business and you can get the right coach, obviously Nuno Santos is our new coach, but what he can do is yet to be seen. But if you've got the right team with the right coach, with the right results, anyone can do it. You know, we saw it with Leicester. There's nothing. We could see Brentford do it this year. That's genuinely how it goes right now. That's football for you.
Yeah.
But here we go. Right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back after. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. If you've got anything you want to add to the conversation, you can do so by calling us on 07853. Sorry, 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can get us on Twitter at Relaks Radio and on Instagram also at Relaks Radio. We'll be back after this short break. Good morning. Welcome back to the final whistle here on Relaks Radio, where we discuss all things football. Just before the break, we discussed the contract renewals of Emile Smith-Rowe for Arsenal and Heung-min Son for Tottenham. Now I'm going through the grapevine over that little break. I'm just going through some of the transfer window stuff. So reports coming out of Germany that Borussia Dortmund are looking to sign Daniel Malen from PSV for about 30 million euros to replace Jordan Sancho. Not really seen much of him. Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, well, he's ex-Arsenal, isn't he? So yeah, obviously he come through our youth system. We sold him to, I believe it's PSV?
PSV, yeah. PSV.
So we sold him to PSV. Obviously, he's had a good few seasons for them. He's been banging in goals. Yeah, I know he's got electric pace, and we saw that at the Euros for Netherlands briefly. For me, I think he's not necessarily a replacement for Sancho. Obviously, they got Haaland, and Daniel Malen's a bit of more of
that's if Haaland stays there, because there are.
Yeah, if he stays there. If he stays there, yeah. I mean, I think Haaland will stay there. I think it's going to be the same as what happened with Sancho. Obviously, last year, Man United was so close to signing him, but couldn't get it over the line. And I feel like that's the same thing that's gonna happen again. I feel like maybe whoever's interested in might not be able to come to an agreement with Dortmund, but maybe next season they might be able to. But yeah, I think Daniel Mane will be a good switch to Dortmund. Obviously, you know, we know Dortmund like to sign young players and sort of develop them into players that can go on to other clubs.
Jude Bellingham, Jadon Sancho, two prime examples. English examples.
Obviously Aubameyang. There's Ousmane Dembele. Like, there's so many names that we could obviously go through with Dortmund, and I think that would be a good switch for him. Obviously, being an ex-Arsenal player, I'd like to see him in one of these big leagues. Not to say that the Eredivisie isn't, but I feel like he could probably blossom a lot more in the German league, and it'll be interesting. Maybe they might play him on the wing. To be honest with you, I think he could play on the wing with the pace he's got, so it will be quite interesting to see if Dortmund can get that one over the line.
Yeah, 100%. Go on, Kings, anything to add on that?
To be honest, as much as I know of Daniel Mane, and I haven't really watched much as well, all I know is that yes, he's incredibly fast, he's a very solid striker, he's very young, very promising talent, he's definitely got so much potential behind him. Yeah, and I feel like you've touched on everything I really need to. I feel like you've touched on everything else that I could have said already. We know Dortmund to be able to develop players and just make them big. And one thing I know about Dortmund is the fact that these people have, like, they've got huge money. They've literally just got huge money. Like, they always manage to pull through somehow, you know. Like, they always manage to make these huge sales. I don't know how much they sold. I don't know how much they sold previous players. I mean, look at Jadon Sancho. I'm not too sure how much they bought him for.
They sold him for 72 million. I think they bought him for about 15.
Yeah, see, look, that's a huge flip, especially for promising young talents. What they do, it's like, I don't know, it's like they just take these young players and, you know, they just take care of them, bring them up, you know, strengthen them, everything. It must be something in that German water. It must be something in that German water that just makes them so much better, because I've seen how many players go over to Germany and just come back huge, or just come back 10 times better than what they used to be. And like, the way they take care of these players is just, you know, something special. So I feel like him going to Dortmund, well, I don't know if it's a possible move, but him going to Dortmund would be a very good move specifically just for him. He's going to be a problem. I can see that he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, fair enough. In terms of, well, obviously, that's a player coming into the Premier League. Yeah. One player reportedly leaving the Premier League is Chelsea's Hakim Ziyech, who is wanted by AC Milan on loan. Ziyech started only 15 Premier League games last season. Wants to know if he is in Thomas Tuchel's plans moving forward before he makes a decision. Hakim Ziyech, what do we think of those? What do we think of him?
He's a class player. From what, because I've taken a look at him. I've watched him how he played back in Ajax. He is a very, very class player. Very, very class player. He's got one heck of a left foot. Very skillful. He's got good vision, a good eye. He's a very incredible player. Now, when he got to Chelsea, that's where we didn't see much of him, as much as, you know, not just Chelsea, but like the Prem kind of expected. And I feel like, obviously, you know, different team, different situations, different environment, different atmosphere, you know, so, you know, you won't be able to play the way you've always known, you know. Different coaches, yeah, you won't be able to play the way that you've always known. So we kind of saw, I don't know, how do I put it? We kind of saw a bit of his talents held back, if you get what I mean. So I feel like him going to AC Milan is probably a good way for him to be able to at least explode, you know, get his talented side out again, you know, get his flair out, you know, because I feel like at Chelsea, obviously, given organization, you're trying to keep everything tight knit, and, you know, they won at the end of it. But, you know, I feel like he needs his space to be able to create, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Obviously, Ziyech was brought in by Frank Lampard in the Frank Lampard regime at Chelsea.
Yeah.
A lot of players come in. Since joining Chelsea in 2020, he's only played 23 games and scored 2 goals. Represents Morocco at an international level, 28 years of age. So he's not. He's in his. He's in what other people would consider to be in his prime.
Yeah.
Obviously, he hasn't had that chance to show that because he's been, you know, on the bench most, or not even selected in the first team squad for the majority of the season. he signed. How much did he sign for? That's the question.
I think it was like 60,
40 million. 40 million euros. 40 million euros. So, I mean, 40 million euros, 23 games, 2 goals. Now looking to offload to AC Milan.
The reason why he didn't play a lot, and when he did come back, he was on the bench. He was injured at the beginning of the season, and it took him a few months to recover and stuff. But we all know from what we saw when he was at Ajax what he could do, and like King said, he's got a wonderful left foot, and for me, he's like the creator of the team. And when he's the sort of player you want him on the ball when you're going forward, because he can find the pass and his vision is unbelievably good. So he was one of the reasons why Ajax went on that crazy run in the Champions League when they had De Ligt, De Jong, and Tadic just firing that season.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I said, he was probably one of the main reasons why they did so well. But I think for me, Chelsea are going to need the depth this year. Obviously, that they're in the Champions League again. I feel like they're gonna need him down the line. So if Tuchel does let him go out on loan, I will be a bit surprised. But then again, I won't be surprised that he wants obviously first team football, because we all know he's a quality player. So we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. But for me, I'd like to see him stay and maybe fight for his position. But obviously, it's up to Tuchel, and it just depends what sort of football he's gonna make them play this year. So yeah, that one will be an interesting one to see what happens.
Yeah. News. So breaking news. Sorry, 11:24. So this was announced only 3 minutes ago. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has put pen to paper on a new 3-year deal as the manager of Manchester United, with an option of a further year. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has taken Manchester United to new highs, I think, since Ferguson was there. A lot of people wanted to question his legitimacy as a manager. This is his second time in charge of Manchester United. I think he's actually done well this time round, considering that he's taken them to a Europa League final. Has taken them to their first top 4 finish in Christ knows how long. Where do we stand on it? Obviously, Man United.
I think with Solskjaer, he started off quite slow. He had a few stints where he was doing well, and they started doing bad again, and a lot of United fans were getting on his back. But I think what a lot of people forget is, in terms of these like young managers coming through, they've got to understand that it takes time. Same with Arteta and Arsenal. It's going to take him time to adapt to certain things, and managers are going to want to play their own way. And sometimes, like a prime example is the way that some managers want to play, that he might not have the players at his disposal. So it's going to take them a few windows to obviously get them players to play how he wants. And obviously he's going to bring in players that he actually wants and thinks he can play in the system that he's trying to play. But like I said, he's obviously it's taken a bit of time for him to get going. But I think Man United are in a very good position at the moment. If I was a United fan, I'd be excited, because they've obviously just brought in Sancho. If they can keep hold of Pogba, I think that will be good for them. Obviously, we know Maguire and Shaw, the season they had last year, and the Euro run that they had, I think United fans can be really happy and excited at the moment to see how they get on in the new season.
Yeah, so staying on the subject of Manchester United, obviously one player that they're heavily linked with right now is Varane from Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Varane. I mean, I used to when I played FIFA and Football Manager, like, for the past 3 years, I've always made sure to sign him, because he's in the real world, he is a quality player.
Yeah. That's another thing I wanted to touch on. I actually forgot to mention that if they do get Varane over the line, I really think they are going to be a team to fear this year. I think Varane being next to him, I think. I've always said this. I feel like with Maguire, if he has someone like world class or half decent next to him, I feel like he can basically play off him, and he will do well. And you can just see how Maguire plays with England when he's got John Stones next to him instead of someone like Lindelof or Eric Bailly. Yeah. So I think for United fans, I think if they can get that one over the line as well, I think they'll be very exciting times. And there are reports, obviously, Pogba wanting to leave, but another report that I was reading is that they've contacted Bayern Munich to buy Leon Goretzka as Pogba's replacement.
Yes, so I think
that would be insane. I think that would be a fantastic replacement for Pogba. But I don't know the situation with Goretzka and Bayern. Obviously, he's been there for a few years now. He's developed fantastically as a player. Like, would he really want to leave? That's probably the question that I would ask. But if they can keep hold of Pogba, yeah, like I said, I think United fans will be really excited, especially going forward. I think they're going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rafael Varane has been at Real Madrid for the past 10 years. So he's been there since he was 18 years old, has made 236 appearances in La Liga, scoring 8 goals. As a centre-back, he's in what we consider to be his prime. 2018 World Cup, he played every single minute of the World Cup.
Yeah, he's at his prime for sure, yeah, at the moment, 100%.
That's crazy.
I think he is one of the better centre-backs in the world at the moment, and it will be a fantastic signing for United if they can bring him in. Obviously, he was saying that he would like to come to the Prem for a different challenge, so I think it's sort of United's favour.
Not only that as well, I mean, I think what makes this deal more legit is the fact that Real Madrid and Barcelona are trying to rebuild, and they're trying to sell players to get those funds in, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you got to take into consideration that the guy is successful. He's won the Champions League. He's won La Liga.
He's won the World Cup.
Won the World Cup.
Yeah. His CV is unbelievable. So
his CV is ridiculous for a centre back of 28 years old. There are some centre backs that retire with not even that.
Yeah,
he's done it all. So I mean, could he give Virgil van Dijk a run for his money as the best centre back in the Prem if he does come to the Prem?
Yeah, 100%.
That's a good question. That's actually a good question.
100%.
I didn't get laughed at. Yes.
100%. 100%. Look, for me, it's going to be interesting. It's actually a good question. If we have the 3 centre backs in the Prem, which is Varane, obviously we've got Ruben Diaz, who had a phenomenal season last year, and a fit Virgil van Dijk as well. I think them 3 are going to be battling with each other to see who gets the best. But yeah, we know what Varane's about. He's a winner. He's a fantastic player. I mean, he's also probably a leader off the pitch as well as on. So I think it's a no-brainer for United. For me, like I wanted to mention, is I think the price tag is what's going to make this deal, or if they're not going to do it. Obviously, it depends how much Real Madrid are going to want for him. So
is there a report?
We'll see what happens.
Is there a report at the minute of how much he's?
No, there's no reports of how much they're considering. But all that's been said is that the personal terms won't be we know what Man United's wage budget is like anyway. So in terms of wages and bringing him into the club, especially after him winning a new challenge, that's not going to be a problem. The problem is going to be where obviously they're going to have to agree a fee for him.
I think they've come in. I think Man United have gone for this at the best time as well, because obviously Real Madrid are looking to offload players.
Yeah,
trying to get some funds back. Varane's contract is up next summer. It expires next summer.
Yeah, exactly. That's another massive thing as well.
They're gonna want money. I mean, obviously, a player of his caliber, they're trying to rebuild. They're in desperate times for money.
Yeah.
What kind of figure is reasonable for someone of his quality? Because obviously you got to weighing all those factors into consideration.
Yeah, I think him having one year left on his deal,
60, 70 mil.
Yeah, I think I'd say around there. Yeah, because obviously him having 1 year left on his deal, but then again, 60 or 70 might be a bit too much. Obviously, he's 28, right?
If he had a couple of years left on his contract, then maybe.
Yeah, I'd say maybe around the 50 million mark.
If they could get him for 40 million, that would be an absolute steal.
No, I don't think they'll get him for that low. I reckon minimum is going to be between 50 and 100. Let's just put it that way.
Is that based on the fact that his contract is almost up? That's the reason why the price tag's so low.
If he had 5 years left on his deal, for example, that's obviously going to.
They wouldn't sell him. They wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
They probably would sell him. Let's be honest, but they're going to probably want over 80, 90 million for him.
Yeah, he's minimum 80. But there we go. Right, we're going to take a short break. It's come to that time of the show again. We have to take a short break. So, we'll be back after this. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can get in touch with us on Twitter and Instagram. There we go, Relaks Radio. And you can also download our app on iOS and Android. But as for right now, we'll be back after this short break. Good morning.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it. Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Girls, ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You know, you want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars, yeah.
Very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Girls, ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back to the final whistle, where we discuss all things football. Just before the break, we were talking on, well, we were on the subject of Manchester United, and obviously Raphael Varane looking likely to make a move to United. Fee has been, well, the fee hasn't been agreed yet, but personal terms, from what I hear, are very, very close. You want to talk about the Jordan Sancho deal?
Hold on, just before we get into the Jordan Sancho deal, I just wanted to point out, just before the break, in fact, did you hear about the links that PSG have with Man United for Paul Pogba?
No.
Yes, I actually went and searched it up, and apparently PSG are one of the heads, like, they're expected to make a bid for Pogba.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, and they're looking to do that before the close of the transfer window next month. So
yeah, this is what I'm saying. I think it's really vital for Man United season to see if it can. The thing is, they could probably sell him. Let's be honest. I think with Pogba, he's been rumored to leave for quite some time now, and he stayed, and then he's rumored to be staying, and then 1 minute again, there's rumors that he might be leaving. I think, if I was a United fan, it's just the same situation with Ozil as well. Like,
yeah,
sign, or like what's happening? Like, is he playing or not? It's just that air of uncertainty. And I think with the whole Pogba deal, if they can get that over the line, or like, let's just say keep him, I think he's going to be detrimental to their season, especially going forward. We know on his day he's world class, and he showed that at the Euros in the summer. So it's going to be interesting. But I think more importantly for me is, if he does leave, like, who's going to replace him? So it's going to be important to see, like, what happens there. But with the whole Jadon Sancho deal, I think United have gone for him at the perfect time. Obviously, they were trying to get him last year for about 113 million, and they couldn't come.
It's actually worked out in their favour, innit? Because they were 130 mil, and now they got him for what, 72?
Yeah, so obviously it's worked in United's favour. Obviously, Jadon started off at Man City, ended up leaving City, going to Dortmund, and obviously what we've spoken about Dortmund and their youth players coming through, and what sort of philosophy that they have at the club, which is fantastic in my eyes, because I love that, and it's very similar to Arsenal's philosophy, especially a few years back with certain players from us. But I think it's the perfect time for Jadon now to come back to the Prem. I mean, for me, I know for a fact here, when you grow up here and then you go abroad, there's always going to be that something inside you that's going to say, look, as much as I love playing abroad, I want to go back to, like, playing in the Prem, because let's be honest, it's the best league in the world, in my opinion, and you want to play in the best league in the world to test yourself against the best players. So I think it was always in the back of his mind that he was going to come back, and like I said, he's had a phenomenal few seasons at Dortmund, creating fantastic partnerships with the likes of Royce, Emre Can, and obviously Haaland being the most recent one. And I even as like a football fan, I am excited to see how he gets on this season. Hopefully he doesn't score against us, but you just never know. And I think he is a fantastic player, and he is going to show that for sure.
In terms of Jadon Sancho started his career at Manchester City. Obviously, do you remember when Matt Doherty signed for Spurs?
Yeah.
And there was a load of speculation about his tweets.
Yeah.
Take a look at this. Take a look at this.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, dear. Obviously, he's now a Manchester United player. So he's obviously deleted those tweets. But
that's absolutely hilarious. I'm sorry.
That's absolutely hilarious. I think it just goes to show that a lot of people will say that they support a club when they join them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people you can actually say, yeah, they do. Obviously, not the likes of Emile Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
No, you can't really. Matt Doherty, Jadon Sancho. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think about the whole deal, Josh?
What, Jadon Sancho?
Yeah.
I think it's a good bit of business. Obviously, we saw a little bit of him in the Euros, and he didn't really impress much. In my opinion, anyway.
I feel that's due to the fact they didn't get enough time to play on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly that. We didn't see enough of him. And obviously that's just because there were people better in his position. But at the same time, hopefully this is the break that Jadon Sancho needs. Obviously, he is a young player.
Yeah.
Is he going to do wonders in the Premier League though? It's all yet to be seen. He's got experience in the Bundesliga, but we all know the Bundesliga is a very, very slow-paced football. You're coming back to the Premier League, obviously where he started, but it's more. I think the Premier League has grown and diverse in so many different ways now, where it is so back and forth and so competitive.
Yeah.
This is why we see a lot of people that come from abroad. We see them struggle when they join. So let's take into consideration like the likes of I don't know. Spurs, for example, and Ndombele, like when he joined us, he come from. I can't remember where he come from, but Leon. I know he come from France, yeah. So when he come from Leon, he really struggled for his first season. It took him a little while just to adjust, but when he adjusted, he's now performing really, really well. So again, obviously he's English, so he might take to it a little bit better. But again, for 72 million as opposed to the 130 they were going to pay for him last season, I think he's phenomenal business by Manchester United. 100%. Obviously, he's a player for the future as well. So, obviously, if he doesn't perform well in the first two or three, first season or two, should I say, he might perform. He might get to their standard. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. Obviously, when Spurs first got Gareth Bale from Southampton, we were going to send to Birmingham City for $3 million, and then Harry Redknapp comes in and plays, gives him the right football time, and then we send him on for in the excess of 100 million. So it's the grounds are put in place for him to be a future star.
Yeah,
and I think if he gets the right play time and he performs consistently, then that money will make itself back.
Yeah, I think for me, what's really important in that situation as well, that the squad that Man United have now, like going forward, especially with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford, and Cavani, obviously they tied the knot with him as well, gave him a contract extension after the season they had last year. I think going forward as well, having them sort of players around him is only going to make him better. And I think he'll thrive under players like that as well, because when you have quality around you, and I know for a fact that's what's going to help him as well. Obviously, when you have quality around you, you perform better. And sometimes, obviously, it doesn't work that way. But I feel like with Sancho, now that he's going to have more quality around him, no disrespect to Dortmund, I think they're a fantastic team. But the quality that Man United have now, and obviously being in the Champions League, I know Dortmund was. So it's just Sancho's got that Champions League experience now as well. So I think for me, like obviously Josh touched on, I think it's fantastic business for Man United. And obviously, like I said, as a football fan, I'm genuinely excited to see how he gets on in the league.
Yeah. Obviously, staying on the subject of Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come forward and said that Jesse Lingard, who spent his time on loan at West Ham last season, is now a part of Manchester United's plans going forward. West Ham are still remaining hopeful to sign Jesse Lingard on a permanent deal, but whether it goes through over the line, different story. Obviously, where do you two sit on that? Because obviously, I would love to see Lingard back at West Ham. I mean, I'm a Spurs fan, so it actually hurts me to say that. But Lingard at West Ham, that was the prime Lingard that we saw. I think he performed absolutely exceptional at West Ham.
Seeing Lingard the way he was playing as soon as he went on loan to West Ham, we started to gain a sense of like we started to see, yeah, this guy really loves the sport. You know, like we started to really see this guy's his creativity come back to him. That he wasn't really getting much of whilst he was at United. You know, he was really tired down. He didn't do as much as he could have, you know, because obviously there were players that were starting before him, like players that were way better than he was. And it's like, you know, it's like you could really see that at one point a lot of people felt like he was going to just hang the boots up. The way it looked, that to me, that's how it looked, that he wanted to hang the boots up. Going to West Ham was literally just that one breath of fresh air that he needed, just to be able to wake him up and be like, yeah. This is the sport that I love. This is the reason why I'm here. And look at him, he was just going crazy. Now, in terms of being able to sign him, that's a sticky one. I'm not gonna lie, it's a sticky one because you see, like West Ham have seen what he's capable of bringing to the team. Like he has done so well in that second half of the season.
Yeah,
but then you know, bringing this creative genius to United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said, yeah, you're going to be a part of the plans, but when you see all of the signings that have been made, brought forward, this and that, the real question is even though he's already said you are part of the plans, where exactly does he fit? That's what I'd like to know. That's the reason why it's a bit sticky for me.
Yeah, cool. Right, staying in Manchester. Obviously, Harry Kane has been given the green light to sign for Manchester City for 160 million. Although Man City are still remaining reluctant to sign for that. There are talks that his contract, his personal terms are going to be that he expects 400k a week, and that's why this comment is perfect. This comment is from James Seinfeld, who said, "Hi guys, I've only just tuned in, so if it's not been mentioned, what's your opinion on the apparent Harry Kane's 400k salary? As reported in the tabloids, bracket, calm down Kings, it's a week's mortgage, close bracket. And what is your stance on player salaries?" So I'll start because Harry Kane is a striker from my boyhood club. I love Harry Kane to pieces, but if he wants to go to City to just take his career to the next step, 460 million, you can take anyone on my team. You can take anyone from Spurs. I really could not care less. 400k a week, bit of a reach. That would make him probably one of the. I think that would make him the most well paid Premier League footballer. I think that makes him the highest. That would make him the highest paid footballer. Am I not mistaken?
You'd definitely be up there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
400k a week. I mean, I don't see why anyone would need 400k a week. Obviously, like the go. I think the going rate for someone of his caliber at the minute. It's probably like 250k a week, which is what we normally see.
270 maybe at best. 270 at best.
I think in terms of player salaries, player salaries these days have just got really, really stupid. Players are getting stupid amounts of money. Like look at Gareth Bale, for example, in Real Madrid, 600k a week. Who needs 600k a week?
Somebody that plays golf majority of the time, apparently.
There we go. This
is a subject I'm glad that's come up because it's a very touchy subject in football, and I know a lot of people like to talk about it. For me, as I said before to all my friends that are Spurs fans, for me, you can't replace Harry Kane, and I've said this before in previous episodes as well. If you go back, even if you paid 160 million for him, 200, 300, whatever it may be, a player of that caliber and someone who's, let's be honest, loved the club and given Tottenham so many chances, because he wanted to leave a number of times, and he's said to Tottenham, like, look, obviously I'm playing well, but I'm not winning any trophies. And that's obviously why I think he really wants to leave Tottenham, because he is coming to that point of his career where if he doesn't leave, he's gonna look back and think, oh yeah, I won a few golden boots, but apart from that, what have I really won? And I think that's very, very important, especially as an individual as well. For me, it's not necessarily about the money for him, especially his salary. I think 400k might be a bit too extortionate, but let's be honest, if anyone can afford it, it's going to be Man City anyway. So, and from what I think of salaries these days is that football is changing a lot in the last like 10 years or so, or 20 years. There's a lot more money being pumped into football. Like you get like 150 million from TV rights alone, let alone like different sponsors. So there is a lot more money going into football. So when you do see these extortionate transfers like for 70, 80 million or 100 million, like in terms of like football money, that's how it is nowadays, and we've sort of grown to learn that, you know. And I think for me, like I said, Harry Kane is irreplaceable. As much as it hurts me to say it, as coming from an Arsenal fan, I think on the pitch he's a fantastic player, and I know he's got leadership qualities. I've said this before, and off the pitch, I know he's as important. So for me, no, and for me, even if they offer 200 million, for me, if I could keep that sort of player, he's going nowhere, in my opinion. In terms of, like I said, his reported 400k salary, I mean, he deserves to be up there with one of the most like earned players probably in the Premier League, because he's proved it year after year. But I don't know if 400 might be a bit too much. But like I said, in terms of like salary at Man City and United, at them sort of clubs, like the salaries up here, like the wage budget is crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him that much. But for me, like I said, as much as it hurts me to say, I think he deserves it. I think he'll be a different animal at City, even though he's a world-class player at the moment. I think he'll have a lot more quality players around him. And yeah, it'll be interesting.
Might even get a bit faster. Might even get a bit faster.
Yeah, well,
this is the thing. Obviously, when we first started playing him, and when he had that really good season, do you know what? I can sit here and laugh at this now because it's rung true. Every single player from an opposing, every single fan from an opposing club were like, it's a one-season wonder. He won't do it again. He's done it consistently every season.
Yeah.
And that's why when I touched on, obviously you can't let a player like that go. He's shown unbelievable consistency. And the partnership that he's managed to form with players that have come and gone, especially now with Son, like him and Son together, like obviously Josh touched on the amount of goals and assists they got for you guys last season was incredible. And I think without them two, like God knows where you guys would be, because going forward, without them two, I just feel like it's just probably a couple of headless chickens just running around for the ball. And I think you could. That's what I genuinely think of players like Lucas Moura. Like the guy runs and runs and he just looks lost. So like obviously, if you took Harry Kane out of the team, I think you would tell they would miss him so much. Not necessarily his footballing ability, but I think what he brings off the pitch as well, his leadership skills are unbelievable. So yeah, for me, in terms of the salary, I think he's definitely earned that. And obviously going forward with the whole salary, player salaries and stuff like that, I think obviously the more money that's being pumped into football, the more we're going to see these crazy contracts being given to these players.
Yeah, go on, King. Okay. What's your touch on it, mate?
I mean, 400k a week for starters is already a madness. So, let's just talk about that first. 400k a week. No human being on the planet needs 400k a week. I mean, maybe 270. I understand as a football player and as somebody that provides this type of service, year in, year out. You're gonna be worth a lot. I understand that. And the type of value that you proclaim that you can add to a team, it's understandable. There's going to be like a pretty penny being added to your name and your contract. But 400k a week, you demanded 400k a week. Brother, if you're going to be demanding 400k a week, that means you better be bringing UCLs literally every single season, for the next 3 years. If you're going to be demanding that much.
They've never won a UCL.
My point exactly. So why demand 400k a week? Like, if you are going to be the pivotal purpose of being able to bring Premier Leagues at the very least to Man City consistently for the next 3 seasons, fine. Even then, 400k a week is still a bit of a stretch. Like, okay. Look at Aguero, and I always make this comparison. Every single one of my friends, people have tried to fight me for this, and I don't care. Aguero, look at Aguero. He came in since I believe it was 2012. He left Atletico to join Man City in 2012, and since then, we haven't seen this guy. We haven't seen him. We've seen consistency continue to rise and rise and rise and rise and rise. All he did was get better and better and better. Admitted, this season he did have a bit of a slow. Like his season wasn't as great as previous seasons. Like last season he played really well, even coming off of an injury. After getting injured, he came back after he was fully healthy. He still managed to get a catch up on goals. He was behind. He saw, I got to start scoring, and just like that, he came back up. So literally, like we've seen the type of player Aguero is, and on top of that, he has been a very pivotal piece in Man City's play, in Man City's team, to be able to bring Premier League trophies to the club. I'm not too sure how many times they've won. I want to say 3 times in the past. I want to say 3 times in the past, maybe 5 years or so. 5-6 years. I might be incorrect.
What, City winning the Premier League?
Yeah. Is it 3 times in the past 3 years or so? Or it's probably 4.
It's probably 3 years in the last 4, because obviously Liverpool won last year in it. So
yeah, no. Well, yeah. Liverpool technically
not this season just gone, but the season before.
Yeah. So Liverpool won that season, and then prior to that, who won prior to that? I'm not too sure.
Leicester.
Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah, so literally, like we've seen.
Leicester was ages ago.
I thought you were talking about prior. I thought you said prior to the 5 years that you're talking about.
No. I remember Leicester was 2016. I remember that. Yeah. What I mean, so basically, my point is the fact that we've seen what Aguero has brought to the Manchester City. It's like he's already set the pedestal at such a high point, and obviously with the fact that he's been compared to a lot of people, including myself, compare Harry Kane and Aguero constantly in terms of who is the best striker in the Prem, you know? Who is the person that gets goals, you know? Who's the person that's capable of, like, gelling a team together? Who is that person where as soon as you put them inside, as soon as you put them in a team, instantly they're able to just get moving, get going, and just like that, boom, they've made such a huge impact, you know? With someone like Kane, you're going to demand 400k a week. You better, it's either you got to perform. Yes, you got to perform. You either got to get to that same level as Aguero or anyone else that has been such a pivotal piece in every single club for the Prem and brought something of some sort of substance to their clubs, or you got to go further. But there's no way you can demand 400k a week and you're not even performing up to half of what they can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but for me, another good point is in this, obviously, salary stuff. You're saying that he's going to have to perform at that level, yeah, but he's been doing it in the Prem for so many seasons. So when he's got more quality players around him, why wasn't he perform even better than what he is before? Like, let's be, like I said, yeah, it's him. For me, going forward for Tottenham, it's either him and Son, you know. Then at City, you're going to have Sterling next to him. You're going to have Mahrez. You're going to have players like Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. Like,
that's providing if Sterling stays, though, because Sterling is transfer listed as far as we know.
That's really scary.
Sterling's not going anywhere. But yeah, like having them sort of players around him at City, he's only going to perform. He's performed at a high level at Tottenham, let's be honest, but it's going to propel him to perform even more. So this is why I said, for me, Harry Kane, he's proved and he's shown over how many years now that he can do it in the Premier League, and he's only going to get better if he does join City. But like I said, like there's reports of him now that are saying that Tottenham are doing everything to keep him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Okay, I got a question then. Why demand that high salary cap just because of the fact that you're going to be playing around these players?
I don't think it's him. It might not be necessarily him demanding it. It might be his agent. You know, there's a lot of factors to put into that. There's obviously like agent fees.
This is the thing. When agents go into negotiations, they're obviously going to put an estimation that is overly exaggerate. So Kane might only want 300k a week, but his agent's going to go in with an opening offer saying we want 400k a week. So then it gives Manchester City that kind of leeway to sort of negotiate.
Yeah.
Try and get as close to that 300 as they possibly can, maybe more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think another good point is that maybe it might not be the agent. It might just be Man City giving him that sort of money because they've got it, and obviously he's been at Tottenham for so many years now. It's his boyhood club, as he likes to call it. When he was an Arsenal fan when he was little, but yeah,
he wasn't an Arsenal fan. He was just part of the Arsenal.
That's another story for another day.
That's huge cap, man. That's huge cap, and you know it.
It might just be a sort of incentive from City to say like, look, this is how much we really want you. Like, come to our club and let's like, but basically, I want to win you trophies like you want. So that's why maybe they've offered him that. But obviously, like all this happens behind the scenes, and we will never know. Obviously, there will be a lot of speculation. Someone says this and someone says that. So obviously, as fans, we'll never know what happens. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see if he does stay. But I would love to see him at City and see how he gets on there.
There we go. There we go. Right, we're going to take a short break. After the break, we'll be talking about, obviously, Harry Kane's potential replacement. I've already discussed this with you guys already, but I've got some news regarding a potential replacement. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. You can download our app on the iOS and Android store. Alternatively, you can contact us on Instagram and Twitter. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and on Twitch. If you want to leave your comments down below, we'll pull you up and talk about any talking points. As for right now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this short break. Good afternoon.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the final whistle. We are discussing all things. Before the break, we were talking about the wage gap made by James Sinfield. Thanks for your comment, mate. So, I discussed this earlier on, obviously, before we come on air, and we agreed that we discuss this a bit further deeply on air. Harry Kane's obviously been given the green light to join Manchester City, according to reports. Also, according to reports, the player that Tottenham are likely to bring in as a replacement for Harry Kane, should he leave for City, is Barcelona's very own Antoine Griezmann. Barcelona are in a financial predicament right now where they're trying to offload players as fast as they can. I know you two are sitting there cracking up. But obviously, you take into consideration, Barcelona are trying to offload some of their highest paid players.
Yeah.
Where fact or cap, right? Is Antoine Griezmann really a doable transfer for Spurs? Should Harry Kane go to City?
It depends, man. I think for me, for starters, they're two different players. I think Griezmann's more of a he's like a false nine, like not a false nine, but like he's more. I don't know how to explain it. Like I just feel like he's not a goal scorer. He's more like a creative striker, if that makes sense. And if it was me, I'd play him more of a centre attacking mid. I think over the years he's lost the pace that he has. Obviously, he started off on the wing for a Sociedad, and then obviously it sort of worked his way into the middle. But I think for me, obviously, as the years have gone on, he's lost a lot of his pace. So he's more reliant on his vision and his dribbling and stuff. So maybe he would be more suited. Maybe he could play on the wing, but I think he'd be more suited to play as a centre attacking mid, just behind the striker. And like I said, I just feel like him and Kane are very, very different and two different sort of players. So I don't know. To be honest with you, the wage structure that obviously Tottenham have had over the last 10 years or so, we all know is very low. And would Griezmann come? To be honest with you, if you lot had Champions League, I'd say it would have been 50-50. But the situation that you guys are currently in, I genuinely don't see it. But I mean,
the fact that
who knows?
The fact is, it's not Tottenham that have made the approach. It's Barcelona have actually offered Antoine Griezmann to us.
Yeah. Which they would, because of it. I think they're trying to get rid of Coutinho as well, who we was linked with last year, and thankfully we didn't get him. Not to say he's a bad player. I just think I don't know. I just don't feel like he'd be the right fit for Arsenal. So and obviously over the last couple of seasons we've seen Emil Smith-Rowe come into the team. So imagine if we did buy Coutinho, then we wouldn't have seen Emil break through. So it obviously there's a reasoning for everything, and I think everything happens for a reason. But I don't think Griezmann is Spurs' answer. That's for sure.
Kings.
Where do I start? With like a player like Griezmann, I mean, we've seen what he's done at Atletico. He used to be blisteringly quick. Came to Barcelona and we see him slow down. He's incredibly skillful. He's got one heck of a left foot. That's one thing's for sure. With Griezmann coming to a team like Tottenham, okay, the problem with this is the fact that he's going from playing Champions League football down to Europa League football.
Europa Conference, we need to remember that, Kings.
Exactly.
It's not Europa League, it's Europa Conference League.
Yeah, we've gone from a Champions League final to Europa Conference in the space of 2 years. Mad, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so even worse. So he's going to a team that's playing Europa Conference League.
Right, you're saying it's even worse. You haven't even got European football this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'd rather not have European football than play.
I'm the same.
But the thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, the topic of conversation is Spurs and Griezmann going to Spurs. Ain't no one said anything about Arsenal. So. But the thing is, the way I see it is the fact that Griezmann's going to a team. Don't get it twisted. Like Spurs, they're not the greatest, but they do have some sort of value to them. But you're going to a team that has dropped not Europa League football, but going to Europa Conference. This is a player that's coming from Champions League football and playing alongside the likes of Messi and, well, used to be Suarez, Dembele. You know, we've got a couple world-class names to put out there. And he's coming to, Spurs that they don't really have much. It's like, it's not even just to get at Spurs, although, yes, I know I'm an Arsenal fan. It's not to get at Spurs, but it's more or less to go on. It's more or less along the lines of the fact that, where it's like, damn, where do I stand? Like, I'm not worth this type of thing, And you know how a lot of players are. They have a lot of ego where it's like, if you've been playing up here, doing this and doing that, how are you going to bring me up from this high point down here, Like, it doesn't work out.
I get that.
You know what I mean?
I get that. But you have to remember as well that obviously Antoine Griezmann's Barcelona reign at the moment hasn't exactly been the greatest. He's 30. He's 30 years old. He's coming out of his prime, and he's turning into more of just a mediocre forward as such, if that makes sense. He's not quite at that level where we just consider him to be any other forward right this second, but his form is slowly dropping.
Yeah.
Can he make an impact to that Spurs team if he does come in?
You would. Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah,
I don't know how much, but he would.
Sorry to disturb you, bro. I was going to say, obviously, you're asking us. Obviously, we're Arsenal fans. Like, what do you think? Who would like? Obviously, coming
Hey,
after.
I'm being a journalist. I'm asking your opinions. It's a talk show, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but you're the Tottenham fan, isn't it? You're gonna know way more than like both of us. Like, who you think is the perfect fit, and this is what
I think it's all yet to be seen. Obviously, like if we still had Poch, then it'd be a little bit easier to tell.
No, let's just forget about Poch. You've got a new manager. You've got this and that.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. We're talking about if buts and maybes at the moment. What ifs at the moment? If we still had Poch, then it might be a little bit easier to tell. But because it's Nuno Santos' first year as Spurs manager, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to tell what kind of football he's going to bring. Obviously, he's promised us attacking football, which is what we're known for.
Yeah.
If we can bring that attacking football back and we can start performing to the likes of what we were 2 or 3 years ago, then yeah, praise 100%. Will Antoine Griezmann make an effect? Quite possibly. Do I see the deal actually happening? No chance. Absolutely no chance in
right, yeah. So sorry to disturb you again. I'll keep doing it, but no, I'm just intrigued because, like, obviously, I like to ask as much as I like answering questions. I like to ask the questions that might not get answered. You know, like for like I said, for you, you're a Tottenham fan. You know your team better than like both of us, innit? As much as I'd like to think I know a lot, but obviously with your team, you're gonna know the best. So like, as an ideal, let's just say for example, Kane's gone. Yeah, obviously we know Son's gonna stay now because there was speculation that he might go, but we know that he's staying now. So like, ideally, like forget about Poch, I'm talking about in this current moment. Who would you like to see at Spurs as your number 9 if Harry Kane was to leave?
Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Why?
That is interesting
because I think he doesn't get play time at Everton, not much anyway. Because he's always fault. I think he's second favourite to Richarlison.
Yeah,
no, Richarlison plays on the wing. That Calvert-Lewin wasn't playing last season because he was injured.
Okay, well, I mean that answers the question.
But yeah, he had that phase where he was on fire. He was literally scoring every game.
Yeah.
What I'm saying. And then he got injured.
You're bringing in, for me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like, he's an English player. He's been in the Premier League literally all of his career. Or been in English football all of his career. If you're bringing in the likes of Antoine Griezmann, you're seriously risking that he's never played in England before. He's slowing down because of his age. Calvert-Lewin is still young. So Antoine Griezmann is still going to have that pace. He's still going to have that effect to that team. And I genuinely think that if we're going to get a replacement, it has to be him. It has to be him. We need someone that is experienced in English football. You're going to need someone that knows how to play the English way of football. And more importantly, someone that's young. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin ticks all those boxes. I mean, we would it with Tammy Abraham as well, but Tammy Abraham for me just doesn't tick all the boxes that we need. We need someone that can actually score goals, and we need someone that's going to be able to perform week in, week out. And I think Calvert-Lewin is the perfect fit for that. And I mean, he's not going to come cheap. And I reckon if we were to offer 70 mil for him, we could probably get him for that. But it's better that we get that than probably paying 60 million for Antoine Griezmann. It's a huge risk. It's a huge risk. I think the best player for us to bring in right now would be Calvert-Lewin. I think he pairs up perfectly all across the board.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what? Who could be a good shout? I've got two names. Yeah, one of them is obviously Nuno Santos knows him very well, and obviously he was at Wolves with him for a number of years. Raul Jimenez could be a good shout for Tottenham.
Ooh.
But again,
Raul Jimenez is a very good player.
We're Tottenham. We're not Wolves.
Yeah.
True.
But this is another thing. When you bring a quality player like that into a team, like let's just say for example you're going from Wolves to Tottenham. Like no disrespect to Wolves, obviously Tottenham's squad is a lot better, and you're gonna put yourself in and amongst like players like Son and that. Like obviously he's only gonna improve, and I think what a lot of people forget is when players like these come from the smaller clubs and go into like the bigger fish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure they thrive under that, especially if I like me as a player. Like obviously when I used to play before, like if I went from not a half a decent team to a team where I know I've got so many ballers around me, that's going to give me even more confidence in myself, you know. And I think that's what maybe him and the needs.
Yeah, but Jimenez is 30 years old, mate.
Yeah, that's the only problem that obviously we have. But another name I'd like to throw out, he's been at Torino for a while now, and I'm very surprised that no one's picked him up because he's been very consistent for Torino. And Torino's squad isn't the greatest, and every single year he's managed to score 15 or more goals. And that's someone called Andrea Belotti.
Yeah, thought so.
And to be honest with you, a few years ago when we was looking for a striker, that's who I wanted, to be fair.
Who's he play for again?
Torino. And he's been scoring a lot of goals for them, and they've like last year they were fighting for relegation. They haven't been doing that great, but previous years he's always been consistent, and he's always played well for Torino. So like he's a player that I would like to see come into the Prem and see what he can do. Maybe like a club like Everton, if Calvert-Lewin did go, or someone like Newcastle maybe, or even a Tottenham as well, like could like be beneficial.
Who's the player you said? Obviously, I've not heard of him before. So
Andrea Belotti. Andrea Belotti.
Yeah,
it's a B.
27 years old.
He's got a lot of spring in him. He's still got a lot of spring in him. About 3 years left.
He's in the prime as well. He's in the prime. Yeah. But again, it's that risk. He's an Italian footballer. He doesn't have any English experience.
Yeah,
this is the risk. We don't for someone to fit into Harry Kane's position. You need someone that can perform now, not someone that can perform in a year, 2 years time. We need someone that can come in.
You say that, but yeah, he could join and hit the ground running.
It's a huge risk.
Yeah,
you bring any player from abroad. English football is the fastest form of football in the world. There's no if buts or maybes about that. It's an absolute. It's the fastest. It's the most competitive back and forth game of football you'll ever see in your entire life.
Yeah, and I think Nicolas Pepe is a fantastic example of coming in for a heavy fee. Let's be honest, like we was all surprised when we paid that much for him. But like I said, like the football has changed now, and there's so much money being put into it. So deals like that doesn't seem as like big as it might to some other people. But I think it's a prime example of a player coming in, like Josh is saying, like you've taken the risk on him. Let's be honest, he hasn't done well over maybe the last season or so, but at the back end of this season just gone, you can see that he's starting to adapt to the league and he's starting to understand what to do and what to do at certain times. And he's dribbling for me, like he's so good on the ball, like. Sometimes he just surprises me for what he does, and like he's got a fantastic left foot, and we've seen that as well. Like towards the later end of the season, so I am really excited to see how he's going to get on this year. And obviously, from what Josh is mentioning, that we've taken that risk for him. We've brought him in. He hasn't really been doing that well, but obviously he's starting to understand the English side of football and how it is played. And I think he will have a fantastic season this year.
There we go. Right, we're going to take a short break. Obviously, we need to take these breaks every so often just to try and regulate the radio production. So, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. You can download our iOS app or you can download our app on iOS and on Android. You can get us on Twitter and Instagram at Relaks Radio. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Leave your comments down below and we will put up your comments on air. After the break, we're going to be talking about what Liverpool need to potentially contend for the title once again. You're listening to the final whistle here on Relaks Radio. We'll be back after this short break. Good afternoon. welcome back to the final whistle, in which we discuss all things football. So just before the break, we were talking about Harry Kane's potential replacement. Now we're going to talk about what Liverpool need to win the win the Premier League again. And actually contend for obviously try and beat Man City off that top spot. Obviously, Marat, this was something you wanted to talk about, so I'll leave the discussion with you, pal, because this is your topic.
Yeah, no, I wanted to. Obviously, we all know it was a tough season for Liverpool. I think it took them a while to get going. Obviously, losing Van Dijk, who I mentioned before, is so vital to that squad, and he would be vital to any squad. I think it just showed that they didn't have a leader at the back, when obviously he wasn't there. You could just tell the importance he has to the team, and it was. I think a lot of Liverpool fans would agree with me. I think it was a very tough season. It's like I said, it took them a while to get going. Obviously, we didn't see the form of Firmino, Mane, and Salah like we previously have when they did win the league and obviously winning the Champions League.
Not to mention as well, there were some shock results that happened to Liverpool last season.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel
7-2 to Aston Villa.
Yeah, and I think they were like probably low on confidence as well. Like when you have runs like that and you're not playing well, I think it just beds through the whole team, and I think confidence will probably always be low in them sort of situations. So, but I think Virgil coming back, obviously Gomez coming back as well into that defense. Obviously, I think Alisson was injured for quite a bit of their season as well, so they had to rely on Adrian. For me, as a backup keeper, I don't think he's the best. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe Liverpool fans may disagree, but I don't think he's that great. He made a lot of mistakes during the season, especially when he was in goal. So I'm sure Liverpool fans would agree with me on that. But I think the more important thing I want to talk about this year is like, obviously we know how important Trent and Andy Robertson, like we know how important they are to like Liverpool going forward, and I just felt like this season that was just gone. I think they sort of lost that and they tried to play a different way, and obviously everyone's human after all, and you know, like there are going to be seasons where people might not perform as well as they did before, but for me, Trent and Robertson, like for me, are still the best fullbacks in the league. I think Luke Shaw is definitely, and Kyle Walker are definitely very close to him. But for what Robertson and Trent were doing like that season when they won the Champions League and they won the league, I think that was so important to Liverpool. Yeah. And obviously, like I said, going forward for them, it wasn't quite working out last year because I think them two weren't performing as well. And obviously, defensively, Trent weren't that good as well. So it was a shame to obviously see like them, especially Trent. I think I'm a like really big fan of Trent. I think going forward, he's so good, and the deliveries that he puts into the box, like any striker would dream of. So, but I think more importantly for me, like the front three for Liverpool, like not playing as well, and I don't think they were gelling as much as they did the years before. I felt like there was a lot of like speculation where they were acting really greedy with each other, like Salah would have passed to Mane or vice versa. So. It's going to be interesting to see like how they get on this year and what changes Klopp is going to make to sort of, you know, bring that team back to life and bring that team back to where they went like on some, what was it, like crazy, like how many games didn't they lose? I think it was like a 40-game run where they didn't lose at home, or they didn't lose at home for like a few years. So it's going to be...
were they in contention for the record, the Arsenal's record?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like going from that to the season that they had, and funnily enough, they still scraped and still got into the Champions League. So I think that's why it's a Klopp to sort of pick them up after the season that they had, and for them to finish that strong. I think a lot of Liverpool fans will be happy with that, especially knowing how important to get Champions League football is. You know, especially the whole revenue and the money side of it. Like I said, the revenue side of it and. The sort of attraction it brings, especially for fans and stuff. So it will be interesting to see. But I think for me, another thing I want to touch on is like them letting go of Wijnaldum as well. I think like
this was going to be one of the conditions that I think if they're going to need, if Liverpool are going to contend for the title again, they're going to need a pair of fresh legs ready to sort of fill in that Wijnaldum position.
Yeah,
and I think the only name that really rings a bell for me, and he's already linked with a move to Liverpool as it is, and that's Yuri Tillmans.
Yeah. I think that would be honestly. I think that's like a like for like replacement for with them two. I think Wijnaldum. I genuinely, I'm surprised that Liverpool ended up letting him go. But obviously, you know, with Klopp, like he's always going to have a plan B. But I think Yuri, if they were to buy a replacement, I think obviously Yuri Tielemans would probably be the perfect fit for them. But I think they've got a lot of, I wouldn't say dead wood, but players that they could actually sell on to get money for. I think players like Naby Keita. Look, Liverpool fans, you might disagree with me. I do apologise, but this is like coming from an Arsenal fan, like, and just my like personal opinion. Maybe like someone like Naby Keita, they could probably get rid of a centre back. I think they could probably get rid of like Adriano. Obviously, I know they might not get a lot for him, but there is a few players that I feel like Liverpool can get rid of. Even like bringing youngsters through, like Harvey Elliott, like he looks like a fantastic prospect. So, and obviously I know a bit of Harvey because when at his time at Fulham before he did join them. So it will be interesting to see like what Liverpool have planned for this year. But for me going forward, I think the front three this year, and I think not necessarily the front three. I think more the defensive side of Liverpool this year is going to be quite key because they let in a lot of goals last year without Van Dijk and Gomez, like a lot of goals. Even when I think Gomez was still there, there was a lot of goals that were being conceded. Obviously, the whole back line and Alisson will obviously have to probably hold accountability for that. But I think it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, Van Dijk coming in. Obviously, they signed Konate from Leipzig as well. I'd be interested to see who he starts. Is he going to start Konate or is he going to start Gomez? So it's going to be really interesting to see how they get on. And I think defensively, they're going to have to improve if they want to be challenging again. What about you, Kings? Like, what do you think Liverpool needs to do to sort of? Do you think they need to bring new signings in? Do you think they might?
I've got a controversial input on this, to be fair, and you're probably laughing at me for this.
What do you think they need to do to challenge again?
They're going to need to sell one of their big players and then bring in someone that can make an impact.
Big player,
who you think they sold?
Salah.
You know what?
I reckon they sell Mo Salah and bring in someone else.
Yeah, obviously, from what I've heard from reports that he might.
He's not happy. He's not happy anyway. He's not happy anyway.
Yeah. I think there was reports of him obviously leaving. Like I said, him and Mane had that little disagreement during the season where they felt like they weren't like obviously clicking like they did before. But I think in the situation that they are now, I'm sure they've spoken it out. I'm sure they're like all the problems are like solved and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see like if they. But there was a lot of reports that Mbappe was coming in and Salah was going. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But for me, I sort of do agree with Josh that maybe they have to sell one of their bigger players to bring someone else in. But Diogo Jota had a fantastic season for them as well. I think a lot of people forget that. And I think obviously they brought him in from Wolves and he had a fantastic end to the season. And I think that's why Jota started for Portugal at the Euros. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to see like what Liverpool end up doing to sort of, you know, challenge for the title again, because it's not a case where I'm going to sign one player there or sign no players and be like, yeah, we're going to be challenging for the title again. So I think there's a lot to talk about for Liverpool and there's a lot to sort of discuss within the camp to see what they can do to start challenging again.
I think they need to give some of their younger players as well a chance to sort of perform as well. Yeah. And some of their players that have obviously made an impact elsewhere, like Harvey Elliott.
I mentioned,
He's been showing such signs of playing
18 years old, that kid is.
He 18 so years well. Old. He plays so well. You've
also got to give the likes of Divock Origi like first team football every week.
That's someone I forgot. I think they need to, the players like that they need to get rid of. For me they're not good enough no more.
Well, you don't think Divock Origi is good enough?
No. Not if you want to be challenging for titles again. Is it look? Let's just say for example, if City bring in Harry Kane, which might happen. Can you if Firmino gets injured or is out of form like he is last year? Do you really think Origi can come in and compete with the likes of Aubameyang, Cavani and what's his name, Harry Kane. For me, no way.
No.
I've got a question.
What about Xherdan Shaqiri?
Another player that I think who doesn't get enough playing time there, so they should get rid of him.
Like, okay, so what you're saying is that if these players don't get enough playing time,
they should get rid of them. Let's bring in youngsters, like invest in youngsters that that might not get the playing time now, but can develop into players that are going to compete with the first team. Same like what we've done with Emil Smith-Rowe and like Bukayo Saka and like so many other players like over the years where we've given chances to these youngsters like Fabregas, who for me I've mentioned before, who's like one of my favorite Arsenal players. Like he burst through the scene at like 15, 16 and like he just grew into a player that he was literally irreplaceable for us at one point, So like, why not give these youngsters an opportunity? Like with Liverpool, they've got obviously Harvey Elliott that we've mentioned. They've got Curtis Jones as well. Maybe that's why Wijnaldum's actually gone. So Curtis Jones gets more playing time.
Okay, cool. Look. So it's a player that's been linked obviously with Spurs and Arsenal so far. But what about Tammy Abraham to Liverpool? Is that a realistic transfer?
Not for me, no.
Do you know what it is? I feel like Tammy Abraham going to a team like Liverpool, for starters, the reason why Firmino's there is because even though he doesn't really have the pace to catch up with Salah and Mane, he has the technical ability to be able to at least get around defenders and find a nice pass. Tammy Abraham, he's too slow, if I'm honest.
Yeah, you know what? I've always slow motion. I've always said this as well. I think a lot of people like discredit what Firmino actually does to that front three and what sort of impact that he does. And when he's not in that team, you can tell that they're not linking up the same. Like they just seem like they're on different pages. And when Firmino just slots into that role as like your centre forward, like he can do both. He can finish. He's like a poacher, but then again, he can create chances and get on the ball and link up the play. And I think that's what worked for Liverpool so well over the last couple of years, especially that front three. So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, Firmino can obviously have an injury-free season for Liverpool fans' sake. But for me, the question is, if he does get injured, the likes of Origi, and obviously they had Brewster, and I thought Brewster might have broke through for them because I think that he's got incredible like potential. Like I was genuinely surprised that they sold him to Sheffield United. But then again, obviously they've got that clause in his contract where they can buy him back. So buyback clause. So maybe they're going to keep an eye on him to see how he gets on. Maybe 1 or 2 seasons they can bring him back in. But for me, like I said, I think once Firmino gets injured, it's very hard to sort of replace him. And maybe that's the sort of area that they need to start focusing on.
Okay, cool.
But then again, Jota can play there. But for me, I think Jota's better off out wide. So.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Cool. I got a question then. So if we were to sell Salah, who is replacing Salah in that position? And like, I know Jota can play on the wing, but he's not as fast. Number one, he's definitely stronger. I think he is definitely stronger. He can definitely hold up the ball. But when you've got somebody that was as fast as Salah, that can complement Mane's pace, because the way we know Liverpool is that you either see one of those two running up, and you all have to do is just find a nice pass and just get towards the box, Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
who is replacing them? Who is replacing Salah if Liverpool are to sell Salah?
If you want to bring in someone that's still quality, and you can probably get him on quite a cheap deal.
With that same, but the thing is that same type. It's not just like being good.
What you got to remember. What you guys have to remember, Salah is very similar to what Kane brings to Tottenham. Like, in a way, for me, I know he's not been performing at his best, Salah, but for me, you can't get rid of someone like that has such an he's so like detrimental to what Liverpool do and the way that they play. For me, I think Liverpool should just keep the faith in him for what they've done this season and just. Like he did still score a few goals like last season from what I can remember, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a case where, look, like I said, everyone's human. We all like every player has a bad season, and obviously I don't necessarily think it's an individual thing. I was more so concerned it was more of a whole team situation where they were all low on confidence, not just Salah, Mane, or Firmino, or whoever it may be, So obviously, new season for them now. Van Dijk being back, I'm sure they're gonna have their confidence back up again. So I think for me, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on and if they do challenge City for the title this year.
Okay.
Domenico Berardi for me
to replace Salah.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, man. For me, I've known Berardi for a number of years now, and I just don't think he's been at Sassuolo for a number of years. Like, he's had decent seasons, but for me, making a big move like that to the Premier Liverpool to start over
you better have some sort of bite within you to be able to make a dent within that team.
Don't get me wrong.
This is the thing. Like, we all know how Jurgen Klopp works. We all know that Jurgen Klopp he would extensively scout players before he brings them in, which is why I think he's such a successful manager. And I know for a fact that Berardi's been on Liverpool's radar before. But if you're going to do it, why not do it now? Because you've got to think about, I mean, Berardi's only 20. He's only 25. Sorry, 26.
Yeah.
So he's coming into he's in what we like to call his prime. Salah's coming out of his prime. So like for like, if that makes sense.
Wait, how old Salah?
29.
No, for me, there's no way he's coming out of his prime. I think over the last few seasons that he's been at his prime, and he's shown the growth that he's had from when he was at Roma and at Chelsea. And I think now would be like the most like stupid time to get rid of him, because he's been so influential for Liverpool. And I think, like I said, for me, that front three is irreplaceable. You can't replace him unless you're going to bring in someone like Neymar or an Mbappe, someone like that. For me, there's no one else that can replace the players like that. And that's my opinion, to be honest with you. So
there we go. Right, we're going to take a short break here on the final whistle. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. You can download our app on iOS and on Android. You can also get in touch with us on Twitter and on Instagram at Relaks Radio. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. If you're going to leave any comments down below, we'll pull your comments up on the screen and we'll talk about them. After the break, we're going to be talking about what Manchester City need to do to win the Champions League for the first time. As for right now, we're back after this short break here on Relaks Radio. Good afternoon.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young, well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he might say to me, you had one to forget.
That's it. Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He said to me, you had one to forget. Get over it. And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. Why did you reject my son? Well, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid, I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the final whistle, where we discuss all things football. Waiting for Kings to sort of buy it on why Karim Benzema is the best striker in the world. But, you know, we'll leave that for another day. So just before the break, we were talking about what Liverpool need to do to contend for the Premier League title once again. This part of the show, I think it's going to be like one of the last segments of the show. We're going to talk about what Manchester City need to do to actually win that Champions League. And I'm going to start this one because I've got something to say, and I think it's, well, in my opinion, it's what they need to do. And that's just perform on the day. I don't really think there's much more that they can do. They're the outfit of Manchester City. They're already a phenomenal club. They have been since the Sheiks took over. Like, there's not really. I don't think there's really much more that they can do. Yeah, sure, they can bolster positions. They can bring in like for likes of players. Like Sergio Aguero has obviously left Manchester City now. They need to replace him. And if they bring in Harry Kane, I think that's a perfect replacement for him. But can they do much more? Not really. Not in my opinion. I just think now it's a case of they just have to perform on the day, and that's what football is. Football is about what happens on the day, for me. And I think Liverpool was not Liverpool. I think Manchester City were really, really unlucky not to win it this year.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially it's only a 1-goal game. Like that was incredibly tight, and they were really going hammer and tongs at that as well. I'll tell you one thing I feel like they should do. I feel like
you might say they should sign Benzema.
Yeah, Karim Benzema.
Yeah. How'd you know? No, but all jokes aside.
I bet you got a picture of Karim Benzema on your wall that you worship every night before you go to bed. Please be to he, Karim Benzema, Lord and Saviour.
Oh no, man. Do you know what? If I'm honest, like the way it looks,
handle it ritual every night and everything.
Oh, good. Listen, I got big love for the striker, man. I got big love for the striker. He's an incredible striker. It's about time that he got his. I
bet he's the wallpaper on your phone as well, isn't he?
Nah. Not even. I love him. Don't get. I love him, but he's not my wallpaper. No. But he's absolutely phenomenal. Like he has definitely shown signs of.
Here we go.
What he is. You guys got me. What can I say? No.
What do Manchester City need to do to win the Champions League?
With City, the way I see it is just the fact that, well, number one, I do agree with you. Just perform. Like they've how do I put it? They've gotten their footing of what it means to be in the final. They know what it takes. They know how it feels. They've gotten the experience. They have taken in the atmosphere. Man City have literally got the perfect balance of players from attack to defense. Literally. From attack, they've got that perfect false 9/striker type of player in Aguero. Well, they did have that type of player in Aguero. They've got the pace and skill on both wings from Mahrez and Sterling. Then in the middle, you have got like your very strong defensive but very, very visionary passes within the midfield, within De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Rodri. And then in your defensive line, you've literally just got the perfect balance everywhere. So you've got in the defensive line, if it's not Zinchenko, then Mendy on the left. You've got, if it's not Kyle Walker, then Cancelo on the right. Then you've got in your centre-back positions, you have both Stones and Ruben Diaz, who have shown a very good partnership together and defended very well together. And then you've got Ederson, who pretty much is probably the most terrifying keeper in the Prem, because I don't know how anyone can really make my heart jump that much. This guy literally does not sit still inside of that goal. He's a very good sweeper keeper. As soon as the ball gets anywhere near the halfway, he's already out there ready to go clear it out. Like the guy's insane. He's literally like a frog. He jumps everywhere. Like, you know, he's just incredible. You see this whole team and you think this is a team that is definitely destined to be able to achieve so many achievements, like gain so many trophies. So literally my point is just have your head screwed on. Literally just have your head screwed on in like realize where you are. Do you know what I mean? Like realize where you are, but don't let it overbear you, because obviously we've seen in situations where there's a big game coming up and people get cold feet, you know?
Yeah.
So realize where you are, realize what it is that you need to do, and have composure, have confidence, you know, go in with a big heart. If you lose, just know that you actually tried to play well, you know? Don't freeze up.
You got to look at Manchester City's history as well. Like in the last 20 odd years, they've come so far. Like they've gone from winning the championship in 2001, but the championship, not the Premier League, the championship.
The championship, yeah.
10 years later, they win their first Premier League title, and they've won five. They've won 5 Premier League titles. They have never won a European trophy,
which is crazy.
Just put that into perspective.
And you see the type of team that they've had. In fact, look at the type of team they've had within the duration of 10 years. They've had the likes of Yaya Toure, Edin Dzeko. They've had
Kolo Toure,
and Kolo Toure. Can't forget Kolo. Can't forget Kolo Toure neither. Literally, they have had the likes of all of these players. Who else? They've had like a very good selection of players. They've brought Robinho, thank you, Robinho. That they've had so many good players that have played for this team alone. And as you've seen them grow, as you've seen Manchester City grow within the past 10 years, their team has only gotten better, either to replace the types of players that they did have once upon a time, or bring in a different flavor of style that can still have a huge impact on the pitch. They have never faltered. They haven't been the type of team that have fallen so low, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you look at a team like what year should I use for example? 2017. You look at a team like Man City, and then you look at a team like Chelsea. Man City literally have a perfect balance of every single player within that squad. Like no matter what, your goalie's gonna have a player that can do something. You know what I mean? Whereas you look at Chelsea, and it's like everybody put their reliance on one person, and that was Eden Hazard. You know?
Well, you look at some of the results that come out of City that year as well, that 2017 season. Like 5-0 against Liverpool, 5-0 against Palace, 7-2 against Stoke,
look at
5-0 against Swansea.
Yep.
But they were smashing teams.
Yep.
Even teams that were contending. Even teams that were contending like Liverpool, 5-0.
Straight up smoke. Straight up smoke.
Come on, man.
So you see stats like this from a team like Man City, and you think, how have they not won anything at a European level? How have they not? How have they not won any major trophies in the at a European level, or European trophies? Like, in a way, in a sense, it's like I feel like the one team that best complements them in terms of having the perfect type of match, if you get what I mean. The best type of team that almost complements them, in my opinion, would be Bayern Munich. Like, Bayern Munich are, how do I put it? They're like not kryptonite, but they're almost like a mirror to Man City, if you get what I mean. Like, they also have that same balance of good players from defense all the way to offense. So, and you've seen what Bayern Munich can do. They've already achieved a UCL for their club. They've gotten so many titles within their German league. Man City should be able to do the same, given the fact that they are able to play at the same caliber, if not better than Bayern Munich. Because it's possible, and I know it's possible. So literally, I don't know why they haven't done it, but it's literally just be aware of where you are, be aware of your surroundings.
It's all about mentality. It's mentality on the day, isn't it? That's all it matters.
Yeah. Like, you know, your focus lies solely and respectively to this point. Everything you're about to do could change forever after this match. So just focus on that.
Look at the Spurs in their last Champions League. Like, I'm not going to say Spurs turned up, but Lucas Moura turned up.
Yeah, definitely.
And we beat Ajax on aggregate, like, to go through. Like, no one expected us to go there, but it's about what happens on the day, because any other day we would have lost that. Yeah. Any other day that wouldn't have happened. But Lucas Moura turned up on the day. That's what matters. It matters about turning up on the day. And if they want to win, they bring Harry Kane in. They're laughing. They're laughing. All that's going to matter then is just getting the results consistently week in, week out, and making sure that they just play the right team at the right pace, at the right style of play.
Yeah, straight up, very much, and that's what it is.
I think what a lot of people forget about the Champions League is you're literally getting the best teams in Europe together.
Manchester City are the best team in Europe. There's no if buts or maybes about that. Barcelona fallen off, Real Madrid fallen off, Atletico nowhere near as good as City, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. These are all teams that have been beaten by Spurs, for God's sake.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I think in terms of City and going forward, I think the one regret I think Pep will have in terms of that final that has just gone by against Chelsea is that he played a different formation on the day. He was playing Fernandinho and Rodri the whole season, and then against Chelsea he went for the completely different style of play, and I think that's what probably cost him. But I think there's a bigger picture than that. Obviously, City pretty much played the whole season without a striker. Let's be honest. Aguero was injured, and then when he came back, he wasn't at his peak as he
that's
showed.
Because he knew he was leaving. That's why.
And then obviously his replacement with Gabriel, for me, when he come in as a player, I thought, you know what, man, City's got a fantastic player on their hands. But with him as well, I feel like he's the same with Origi, where when your star striker does get injured, like, is he gonna step up and like show his quality? And I don't think he's done that at all, unfortunately. I think that City's had to rely on players like Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne, especially like Mahrez.
That's another fault as well. Obviously, we're talking about, like, we spoke about a couple of weeks ago that Raheem Sterling didn't really have a good season last season.
Yeah, no.
The performance he had in the Euros. Do you think he's going to come back twice as strong as what we've seen him before?
100%.
Yes,
1000%. And this is what I was obviously saying before. Like, players are human; they are going to have a bad season. It's about how they react to it and how they obviously put themselves like going forward. For me, one of the main reasons why Man City did so well last year in the Champions League was because of Riyad Mahrez and what he was doing on that pitch, and the sort of confidence he was bringing into that team, where he was taking players on and he was scoring at vital moments, especially that free kick and that goal against PSG at the Parc des Princes was unbelievable. And I think, like I said, if they had a striker like Harry Kane, they wouldn't have to depend on players like this so much. And like I said, I think a massive factor was when obviously they had no striker for pretty much the whole season, and they still won the league. And I think Harry Kane coming in, and for me, I think what City need is a world-class defensive midfielder. Don't get me wrong, I think Fernandinho has been fantastic for him, but I feel like he's getting on now, and I just feel like they need that solidarity in the midfield. Obviously, they've got Gundogan and they've got Kevin De Bruyne, but I just think in terms of like a player seeing, for me, I don't think Rodri is that great. I wasn't his biggest fan at Atletico as well. Like, I think he's very average, and I think with the money that PSG have, not PSG, sorry, the money that City have, I feel like they could have brought in someone so much better. Like, I think for me, the perfect player to bring in now for City is probably either Declan Rice or Calvin Phillips. More so, obviously, Phillips, because I don't think Rice will leave West Ham this year. I think if Declan does leave, I think he'll go Chelsea to join Mount there. So yeah, I think for me, if Harry Kane was to come in and if they brought someone like Calvin Phillips or like an out-and-out defensive midfielder, I don't know, someone like a Casemiro or someone similar to like Busquets, like someone that's just going to sit there and win them the ball back. I think for me, that's what City need. They've got the best keeper in the world. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. I think for me, they've got the best keeper in the world. They're going to have probably the best striker, one of the better strikers in the world at the moment in Harry Kane, and Riyad Mahrez and Sterling are fantastic players anyway. They've got probably the best midfielder or creative player.
In a world where the Harry Kane deal doesn't go through, another player that Man City are linked with is Lautaro Martinez from Inter.
Yeah, another fantastic signing, another fantastic player that could replace Aguero. I think either one of them are going to be as good as each other. But Martinez is a fantastic player.
What Martinez has on Harry Kane is age. Martinez is only 23 years old, and Kane's 29 now.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry, just real quick. I wanted to actually ask this because I've asked this with multiple people as well. With Lautaro Martinez, I don't know. I wouldn't say this is an unpopular opinion, but I look at someone like Lautaro Martinez. At first, I said he reminds me of Aguero, but then I retracted the statement. Now I get the. Is that
because he's Argentinian?
Not just because he's Argentinian, but in terms of like their playing style. Then I decided, hold on, that doesn't make sense. Now he kind of gives me vibes of Carlos Tevez. What do you think?
Carlos Tevez.
Because Carlos, as you can see, Carlos Tevez was small. He was fast, strong, and he's very skillful. He's capable of finishing any foot, and not to mention, if he's in front of goal 90% of the time, he's going to score.
Yeah, I can see where you got that comparison from for sure. But I think Tevez was more of a workhorse as well. Like
Tevez was ruthless. Like Tevez was part of that era where players would get hit and they just get straight back up again.
Yeah, and I think what Tevez was, he was a workhorse and he would work so hard for the team, especially like leading the line. Like especially when players used to have the ball in defense, like he would hunt them down, and you know if you're like not facing him, you know he's gonna be literally like behind you chasing that ball down. So he was a nightmare for defenders. So you see where you get that comparison from. But I think for me, if I was to pick if I was a City fan and who I would pick, I'd definitely pick Harry Kane, because like we've spoken about before, he's obviously Premier League proven. We know he's getting on now, but I feel like Harry Kane at his prime, what he is at the moment, I think he can go on for another 3 or 4 more years. So, and in that time, the City might develop a youngster in their youth team, or someone might come up from the youth team that can obviously rotate with him, and you know, like give that youngster a chance, like how we have with like Bukayo and Emil. So I think for me, Harry Kane would be the better option, and I think most City fans would probably agree with me on that part. Yeah, I think Lautaro Martinez is an exceptional talent, and what he's done with Romelu Lukaku this year at Inter Milan, like has to be like mentioned, because like
that's a partnership to be feared, man.
Yeah, like a part of Inter Milan have been there for a long time, and just for them to sort of, for Antonio Conte to go there and bring that partnership between them the two, I think was so instrumental to why they actually won the league. So
yeah. Oh, obviously, so we're coming towards the end of the show, and obviously, I just want to quickly touch on obviously some of the transfer rumors, and well, we touched on the transfer rumors, but in terms of what you've seen in terms of transfer rumors, who is one team this year that's going to have a phenomenal transfer window? Just go, but if some of the rumors are correct, what is one team that you think?
I'm going to go with Arsenal. If we can get Maddison over the line, I genuinely think we've had a fantastic window, because bringing someone like Maddison in, obviously he's English, he's young, and he's done it in the Prem for a few seasons now, and we've missed that sort of player, that creativity that we can have in the midfield, where we know we're going to get into the ball to him and he's going to make things happen. Like I said last week, I think the appointment of Ben White is a fantastic signing for us, and I am genuinely shocked that we actually like paid that money for him. And I'm starting to see our owners like literally thinking like we are going to be in big trouble if we don't invest in this team. So I am happy so far of our transfer window, and I'm hoping that we could maybe bring in 1 or 2 more to sort of like solidify our position and hopefully like get us back to where we belong.
Yeah, Kings, what about you, mate?
Well, in terms of a good transfer window this season, I feel like I'm gonna have to agree with Marat, to be honest. Maybe it's because I'm biased, maybe not. I don't know, but I feel like or Liverpool. Nah. I'd say Arsenal, mainly because of the fact that, I mean, I know what type of position Arsenal is in right now. Like, we are pretty terrible. And, you know, it's finally, like, I feel like with a lot of Arsenal fans, we're finally seeing something happen. Like, there's changes being made. Like, people need to go and more people need to come in, you know? Like, we need to replace a lot of people in certain positions. Like, we're basically just getting rid of a lot of our dead weight. Things that wasn't really going well for us, things that wasn't really doing a lot of benefit, wasn't really doing us any justice, you know? Yeah. So with the likes of the signing of Emil Smith-Rowe, to Nuno Tavares, who else was there as well?
Lokonga.
Sambi Lokonga.
Yes. Lokonga. Was it Lokonga?
Lokonga, yeah.
Lokonga.
From Anderlecht.
Yeah, I heard about that one as well. What was his name? Thierry Henry was apparently giving Arteta some incentive, saying you better sign this player.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think sorry to cut you up. If I wasn't to pick Arsenal, I'd definitely say if they can keep Pogba, I'd say United. If they can bring in Varane, and obviously they've brought in Sancho as well, and if they can keep Pogba, if it wasn't for Arsenal, I'd definitely pick United.
Yeah, I mean, for me, you've picked the two that obviously are in contention for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's quite even between 3 teams, and it's Arsenal, United, and Spurs. Reason I'm going to say Spurs, obviously, like the amount of players that have already agreed personal terms, like we got Galini, who's just been announced as a loan signing, who is a good second to Hugo Lloris.
Yeah.
We've got Romero, who's a phenomenal centre back. Brian Gill, Tokihiro Tomiyashi. There are so many players that we're linked with that we can bring. Kunde as well. If these deals get over the line, this is only the start of our transfer window as well. This is only the start. If Harry Kane leaves, we'll bring. I reckon we'll bring in another decent striker. I reckon if Calvert-Lewin becomes available and we can get him, I'd love to see him come in. The possibilities for us are endless. With Arsenal, you've got Emile Smith-Rowe contract extension. You've got Lokonga. You've got Tavares, Ben White, and James Maddison almost over the line. Like you're going to have a phenomenal window there as well. But then Manchester United, Raphael Varane potential.
Yeah.
Pogba could, although it's increasingly unlikely that he's going to stay. If we sign for a new deal, they kept Pogba. They've also got who else was Raphael Varane? Jadon Sancho was just signed. There are so many. That's good business for them. That's good business.
Now, it's looking like the Prem is literally anyone's game, especially with all of these signings. It is literally anyone's game. Like if we looked back, maybe how many years ago, 2-3 years ago. It was Man City all over the gaff. Literally, Man City all over the gaff, or they were favourites to win. And if they didn't win, they definitely came second. But right now, as of this current moment in time, coming up to 2021-2022 season, the Premier League is absolutely anybody's game. Anybody's game. And I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. And I cannot wait to see it. So
3 weeks to the day, Premier League season kicks off. I think the first fix is on the Friday, and it's Arsenal versus Brentford. First game of the season Friday, 8 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to try and get us live before that because I want to do a pre-match analysis. But there we go. Yeah. We've come to the end of the show here on the Final Whistle. Thank you to everyone that stopped by and had a watch, and thank you to anyone that liked and commented. We're gonna, that's it. You can join us here on the Final Whistle every Saturday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. here on Relaks Radio. As for right now, I've been Josh. I've been joined by my Ranking Kings. Thank you very, very much, and we will see you next week. Good afternoon.